Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next Photoshop tutorial. This one is going to be called Select and Mask. So I'm going to show you a feature when we create layer mask and select out subjects. We're going to clean up our selection using Select and Mask. So download today's exercise files and open them up in Photoshop. You'll see I've given you 8 files to work with. So pause the video right now if you need to do that so you can download the files and get them open. Join me at this point. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our quick select tool to select out this first subject. So let's jump over to our quick selection tool and start selecting. Select them as good as we can. And I chose these examples in particular because they are slightly challenging in order to give you some better practice. You can see that it's a lot of white right here. So when I tried to select it, it ended up selecting this entire thing right here. You can see my dotted lines going around the whole thing like this. So I want to clean up that selection. Use your negative or hold option on your keyboard to negative select and start deselecting all of this. That way you can get more practice with the quick selection. Because sometimes you'll have to deal with issues like this where it's not a super clean or obvious line and the quick select tool gets confused. So we need to practice our back and forth. Don't be afraid to zoom in. You can see my selection needs to be fixed right there. Take your time to really make sure you do a good job. And again, this part's hard because this white area is really blurry. It's not obvious where the distinction is. Clean this up right there. Perfect. All right, don't worry so much about the hair for right now. The hair, I'm going to help you. So focus more on cleaning up the shirt and the skin. But you can see right here, this one's going to be a little tricky as we do this. Try my best to get the hair, but there's going to be a lot of hair that is not grabbed. So check this out. All right, let's zoom out. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add a layer mask. So it's something you've done before once we've made our selection. For this time, instead of like what we did with the quick selection and just cutting him out, we are going to add a layer mask to mask him out. So once you've made your selection, come down and do add a layer mask. What it will do is it will remove the background. So it's selected him. You see white is being shown, saying he's still being shown, and the background is being hidden right there. So let's move him on to select and mask 02. So right now it looks okay. But let's move him and see what happens. Move him over up here to select 02 and drop him in. And you can see that it seemed okay at first, but you could see actually how sloppy our selection is right here. We still need to fix this right here. It looks like it was just very quickly chopped out. So we need to clean up all this and all these edges right here. Cut off his ear a little bit too. Let me show you how we're going to clean that up. And that is with select and mask. So come over to your masked layer. Click on the mask itself. So if you just click on the layer, you might highlight the image. We want to be on the mask. So click this, and you're going to come up to this button that says Select and Mask. If you don't see it, if yours is collapsed like this, and you click on the layer, you need to go up to the Properties tab right here. Properties, and then you'll see Select and Mask. If you don't see it because yours is like this, you just need to scroll down in the Properties menu. So where it says Properties, just scroll down a little bit, and you'll see it right there. So click Select and Mask, and yours will probably look kind of like this. We're going to change the view so to make it easier to see. So come up here where it says View, click this drop down for View. By default, it's probably on this onion skin, which is not helpful. So the two that I switch between are on black and on white, depending on the person's shirt color. So let's try on white. Probably not since the background was already white. Let's do on black. That'll be better. So on black, you can see how bad our selection is. It looked good at first because the quick selection does it quickly, but you can see now when we cut them out how bad it is. So let's do the on black, and then you can increase the opacity. Yours might be low, so let's increase the opacity of the black background. Not all the way to 100, but pretty close. I'm going to do 80. That looks good. All right, so now we're going to start cleaning up our selection. So the way we can add or subtract from a selection is with the selection brush over here, so the brush tool. So let's click on the brush tool over here, and let's zoom in a little bit. So you can see right here where the ear is, I messed that up. So with the brush tool, if I just start brushing, it will add to the selection. So if I just brush the edges right here, you can see I'm cleaning up the edge, and it's adding more to the selection that I missed. If I go too far, like that, that's okay. I can undo, or I can negative select, again by clicking the negative or holding the option button on my keyboard. If I hold option, I can brush right here to deselect this area. So it's like the quick selection tool, except we're fine-tuning it a little bit more. So same thing right here. I need to clean up his neck. That looks better. So we're just going around the edges where we kind of screwed up a little bit and just smoothing it out. Anywhere that's smooth, that's jagged, that needs to be smooth. You don't need to go through the entire side of his shirt because it'll be mostly okay. But just any areas that need to be smoothed out, we'll do that. So you won't need to spend a ton of time on here, just areas that we missed. Look, we missed this part. Need to fix that. Clean that up a little bit, right about there. All right, that looks good. All right, clean that up a little bit. Again, you don't have to do too much around there, just certain areas where it obviously got cut off. Now, we're gonna clean up the hair. So this one will be easier, don't worry. You don't have to go through each individual hair strand to do this part. For this one, we are gonna use this tool called the Refine Edge Brush tool. So what this does is good for when you have hair. So when you have little areas like hair like this, we're just gonna very lightly brush along the edges. So watch this. So just very lightly click, small clicks and strokes along the edges like that. I'm just clicking and releasing my mouse gradually, a little bit at a time. Going in and out like that. What it's doing is it's identifying where there's edges and it's clearing them up. So I can see that there's edges. It's getting rid of all the white in between the hair strands. Just going along the edges where these white gaps are. Very gently brushing it in small strokes. I'm not going over it in one big large stroke. I'm clicking the mouse and letting go gradually. It's easier if you do small strokes like this, because if you mess up at the end and you have to undo, you won't undo the entire thing. You'll just undo the last small stroke that you just did. So this is only used for hair. We're not going to use the Refine Edge Brush on the shirt or the body because it only works on certain areas where there's an obvious difference. His brown hair is obviously different from the white background. If we try to use the Refine Edge somewhere over here where it's white and white, it'll get confused. It'll do something like that. So we don't want that. That's good. I might need to clean up his ear a little bit more. For the ear, I want to go back to the brush. Start filling this in. There, that looks better. The Refine Edge Brush is for hair. So you can already see how much better it is right now. Any of these white gaps are brushed with the Refine Edge. So now, look at that selection. It looks so much cleaner. Once you're done, click OK. And now look how much better it is. Go out like this. The best part is you can jump back in at any time. If you feel like you did not do a good job, you can click on the mask, click Select and Mask, and jump right back where you left off. So you can see that. That's the before. Look at that. That was before we cut it, and then that was after we cleaned it up. Look how much better it looks now. It looks like he is naturally there. We don't have any of those white edges coming around, and our selection looks very clean. The last thing we're going to do is give him a drop shadow to make him stand out from the background, just like we did with the other ones, because he looks a little flat. Let's go to FX and throw a drop shadow in there and just make it nice and subtle. Here we go. Something like that, just to give him some separation and a little bit of 3D effect. Perfect. Right there. So he looks a lot better. We selected him out, moved him right here, and his hair looks nice and clean. We didn't make it look all sloppy like our original quick selection did. So now, as you might have guessed, I want you to do the same thing with the remaining exercise files. So select in mask 3, 4, and 5. Select out these people and put them on backgrounds 6, 7, and 8 in any order that you would like. Give each one their own new background, but you can put them in any order, but do all the same things we just practiced. And as you can tell by looking at these exercise files, they are challenging because their shirt color and the background color are the same, and they have a lot of fuzzy hair that you're going to have to use the Refine Edge Brush to really clean up these selections. Okay, so select out each person, put them on a new background, and take a screenshot of each edited one. So you don't need 8 screenshots of every single file. You're only going to do 4 because you're just going to send me the screenshots of the subjects on their new background. Okay, so do that. Let me know if you have any questions, and have fun.